Hey YouTube, welcome back to Dwayne's World. So, now before you guys jump the gun, this is not a comparison video between each of those four mowers. However, there is a comparison. You want to find out more? You better stay tuned. A 4 reel mower comparison video. Whew. I feel like a 2-hour video on Dwayne's World. You guys trying to kill me. I don't know how much time it would take to edit that video, let alone the video file, 4K HDR. I don't think I have enough hard drive space on my computer to handle that. It would be awesome, don't get me wrong, but no, not today. Today's video is actually a different type of comparison, but it's a comparison that was brought on by one of my more recent videos that had to do with the California Trimmer handlebar extension kit. And I've had a lot of great feedback, on that kit and the installation. But one of the a couple of the questions I got is like, hey, does it really work great? What if I'm this height? What do you think? Is it right for me? Or, I'm actually kind of a shorter guy, so I prefer the other height, and that's fine. But I've had a lot of Mclane people actually reach out to me, which I thought was bizarre. Being that it's a California Trimmer mower, but they were still interested in it. And the reason why I think they were interested in it is because they are asking me, Dwayne, does Mclane sell one of these? So Mclane, if you're watching, your customers are asking, can you get a handlebar extension kit, right? So unfortunately, Mclane does not make one. Although, that's why I put together this video, is because when looking at it, and getting that feedback, so that prompted me to look at my reel mowers with a little bit of a sharper eye and kind of look at, kind of took a harder look at the actual heights of each of them, kind of side by side. And when I did that, it was pretty interesting, kind of what I was able to see, and that's why I thought maybe this might be good content that people may be interested in seeing. So, I know I have my comparison video out there between a Mclane and California Trimmer, which kind of talked about the heights a little bit, but this is different now because I have the extension kit on there, one Mclane versus another. So with that, let's get into the video so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, so those of you that are familiar with my videos and watch my content know it would not be a Dwayne's World video without the famous orbital spin around the reel mowers. Although this is the first for Dwayne's World, have not done an orbital spin around 4 different mowers all at the same time. Very, very cool. If you're new to my channel, or if you're newer to reel mowing, let me kind of highlight for you guys what mowers you're looking at here. So the first mower on the left side here is a 20-inch 7-blade Mclane with a Briggs Stratton motor. Then we have a California Trimmer 20-inch 7-blade with a Honda GX 120 motor. Then followed by a Mclane 25-inch GR series mower with a Briggs Stratton intex motor. And last but not least is the unicorn of Mclane. This is a 25-inch 10-blade commercial greens mower that unfortunately they do not no longer sell. And with that, let's move on and talk about the heights of each of these mowers. To quickly give you guys an update of something I just saw. It looks like the neighbors this morning overseeded their Bermuda lawn with the perennial rye. So the gardener just took a very easy approach to it, which I've seen people do this before and it works. You pretty much just scalp it down and you go ahead and just throw seed down. Now, I was debating whether or not to do that on my lawn, but you're just gonna have to wait and see what I have planned for my overseeding. It'll be a little bit different. But at the same time, nice to see that this is gonna be a lush overseeded lawn this coming fall. All right, people. So in this video, we're going to keep it real. That's right. First of all, I can't even believe I'm doing this video. It's just because I've had so many questions about this. I figured, you know what, let me put it on video, help answer those questions. This all goes back to the comparison video that I released, which has been a great video for me on my channel. So at the same time, I think it's warranting this follow-up to the actual heights, especially now that I threw this variable in there and added the extension kit, which has definitely raised a lot of questions. So the one thing I wanted to mention, though, as quickly as a disclaimer is, although I'm going to provide some heights to you guys here, I'm going to do my best I can to keep it as accurate as possible. Your mower might be a little bit different, or if you go measure a different Mclane, it might be slightly different. In fairness, what I try to do just to make sure that each of the mowers is set up the same, they are set to their 3/4 inch height of cut setting. So I don't know how much of a factor that's really going to play, but at the same time, I tried to keep it as neutral as possible. But again, there's going to be variances between each mower, or even two Mclanes might be slightly different as well. So, but I think it'll give you a really good idea of the actual height. And with that, let me break out the tape measure and we will measure up these guys so you guys can see. Okay, so to keep this comparison as fair as possible, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure to the top of the handlebar here on each of the mowers. So whether it's there, whether it's there, I think it's the same point on every one of the mowers where I can be consistent on the actual height as I'm taking that measurement among each of these mowers. So again, the first one we're going to start with is the 20-inch Mclane. All right, so I got my fancy DeWalt tape measure. This is not a sponsored video. Okay, and as you can see there, it looks like the Mclane is coming in at a little over 38.5 inches. Probably maybe closer to 38 3/4. But as you guys can see there, that's where it falls on the tape measure. Probably closer to 38.5. So now let's move on to the California trimmer. Okay, so just so I'm out of the shadow here, if you look here, the California trimmer is coming in at close to 42. That's probably what that looks like, 42 inches tall. Let's move on to the 25-inch Mclane GR. And if you look there, it looks like we got close to 40. All right, so let's move on here to the Greenskeeper Mclane. And as you can see here, we are at a little under 36, so maybe 35 and 7/8, somewhere in that neighborhood. All right, so there you guys go. Again, I don't know if everybody wanted this information, but I wanted to throw it out there. I hope you guys found the information useful, even if you didn't request it. But there were a couple surprises, I would definitely say. It was clear that the California trimmer was going to be the tallest. I knew that, even with the extension kit. Visually, it appears obviously to be taller than the rest. And I think initially I thought of this as being more of a comparison between the California trimmer and Mclane. And yes, there is that height difference between the two, but I actually found that there's more of a comparison between each of the Mclanes, more so than the California trimmer versus Mclane. Like, for example, the 25-inch Mclane, how that actually came out taller than the 20-inch Mclane. I was not expecting that. Initially, when I kind of looked at them side by side, I thought that they were the same height, but they're clearly not. The other biggest surprise I found was that my GK series commercial greens mower was so much lower than the other Mclanes. And that kind of answers a couple questions for me, and when I'm mowing it, why it feels different than when I'm using my other Mclane. So that was something I didn't necessarily anticipate when putting together this comparison. I never even factored that into the equation until I actually started measuring each of the mowers and thought, wow, that is a big difference. So, in fact, a couple of the comments that I had from people on whether or not they had an extension kit, a couple of them came from people that own that mower. And now I especially understand why, especially if you're over 6 feet, that the GK series Mclane may not be the mower for you. Now, just a disclaimer though, I'm not saying that the GK series that Mclane sells today is going to be that same height. The GK series that Mclane sells today is going to be based on this mower, so that's going to be a good height if you are looking for the GK series versus the GR series. So again, I hope you guys found the information useful. As always, be excellent and party on.